Whether you experienced abuse in childhood or in your adulthood, it will have a very detrimental effect on your self-image and your ability to love yourself. So today we are going to look at how you can begin, how you can start loving yourself after emotional abuse. Because there are three definite elements that come along with emotional abuse that you will need to understand and address before this change can take place within you. Well, if you don't know me, let me introduce myself. My name is Tawnya Kordenbrock, and I am an online emotions coach, the person behind arenewedlife.com. One of the things that is really near and dear to my heart is helping women who have experienced abuse in their past, helping them to change how they view themselves and their inability to feel loved by others, and also helping them have a deeper relationship with God. And I hope you'll stay tuned till the end. Because I have a free resource for you that is specifically geared toward using scripture to change your self-image. But right now, please hit that subscribe button so that you can receive more of these teachings in the future. As we get started, I want to take a look at how emotional abuse is especially powerful in tearing down your self-esteem. I've talked plenty in the past about abuse, specifically about sexual abuse, physical abuse, just childhood abuse in general, and what it does to your self-image, what it does to your ability to feel loved by others and even to feel loved by God and to feel like He is there for you. But emotional abuse has a special power to it. And what it does, on top of all the effects of sexual and physical abuse and neglect, emotional abuse also causes you to feel bad for wanting to be valued, to feel like something is wrong with you that causes you to want to feel heard and to want to be respected and to have your opinions to matter to someone else. So emotional abuse, in order for that to continue in a relationship, it relies on pointing the finger at you to say that the problem is you. The problem is the way that you think, the way that you behave, the way that you feel. The problem is your desires. And so that makes it very confusing, because you're desiring to be valued, and at the same time you're fighting against it within yourself. So one of the first things that you will need to begin doing in order to start loving yourself is to realize that it's the abuse itself that is telling you that something is wrong with you for even wanting to love yourself. And to begin loving yourself, you will need to identify the lies that have come from the abuse and from other sources that have reinforced these lies. And if you are a Christian woman in particular, you are going to have some extra hurdles to overcome. One of those is that Christian women should not love themselves, that it's wrong, that loving yourself means you are being selfish, that you don't even care about others. And of course, the emotional abuse that you have received has fed into that. It's reinforced it and told you that, along with that something is wrong with you and that you're bad for feeling like you should feel valued. When you pile on top of that, a belief that it's especially bad for a Christian woman to love herself, then what you're doing is the abuser is bringing in, authority from God, or supposed authority from God, and reinforcing this and putting it on you that God is saying this to you, that God is saying that you are being selfish and that you are bad. And so it makes that weight on you just even heavier, right? And so, what do you do about this? Well, you go back to, first of all, acknowledging, all right, this is the abuse that has created this. And because you believed it, you looked for reinforcement from other sources, like perhaps some preachers or the way that you've interpreted scripture. Or maybe you don't have anything that's really reinforcing it, except that you're just believing it within yourself. But if you think about it, God has made you in his image. That in itself deserves respect. Psalm 139 is a great scripture that I want to refer you to right now. To check that out and look at just the awe that is there and how God views you, how God looks at you and thinks about you constantly, and the goodness that is there as someone who was formed by him and who was created in his image. And then, yes, there are plenty of verses about loving others and being humble. But that first takes realizing who you are and being loved by God and being made in his image. Because if you don't have that solid foundation first, then that is going to drive you to constantly be grabbing for that affirmation instead of just having it deep and solid within you. And it creates almost like a overemphasis, over focus on yourself in trying to get it. So fighting against loving yourself actually creates that overemphasis and that search for someone who will affirm it within you, and that puts you at risk for more abuse. Now, beside the belief that it's wrong to love yourself, to have a healthy self-image, to want yourself to be heard, to be valued, there's also another fear that keeps you from gaining that healthy self-image. And this is a little hard for, when I've explained this before, like to the women in my online Mastering Emotions program, this is a little hard for them to grasp. So I want you just to listen here for just a moment, because it can seem kind of weird at first. And this is a fear that if you claim a love for yourself, if you claim and if you hold on to that you deserve respect, that you deserve love, that you deserve to be heard and to be valued, then that will create a division between you and your abuser. And if you're still in an abusive relationship, then you will know this even more strongly, because you know that if you stand up for yourself, then you very much risk getting hurt, and you very much risk being shunned and turned away. You risk a loss of relationship. And even if the abuse took place years ago and even in your childhood, there is still going to be that part of you that feels a need to align with the abuser, because this keeps you in connection with the abuser. And even though you feel angry that you were not treated the way that you desired to be treated, and even though you may know you need a healthier self-image, that you've lost all of your self-esteem, there can still be that part of you that is terrified of rejection, terrified of abandonment, and it will hold on to all of these lies in order to keep you from seeking healing and seeking a healthier self-esteem. So until you recognize this part of you that is there, and until you can calm that part of yourself and you calm it by having compassion for it and recognizing, yeah, it makes sense that I would have been afraid of abandonment, that I would have been afraid of being rejected, that I would have been afraid of accepting that this person who is supposed to love me for who I am wouldn't do that. Because then what do you do? What do you do with why you weren't loved? And there's a fear that what that will lead to is a realization that something is indeed wrong with you, that causes you to be rejected, that causes others to not value you. But that's not true. The emotional abuse and any other abuse that occurred in your life that you received was because of that other person and their own woundedness, and definitely their own sinfulness. It was not because of you, especially if you were a child. It was not because of you. But it makes sense that this part of you would have accepted what they were saying about you in order that you could maintain a relationship with them, right? So let me know if, now that I've explained that, if that makes makes sense for you. So leave some comments below. Let me know, what lies have you believed about yourself? What lies have you believed about whether or not you should have any type of love for yourself? Now, I know earlier I mentioned my Mastering Emotions program. This is an online program where I work with women more closely and train you how to overcome these beliefs and how to respond to your fears of rejection, your fear of abandonment, and to change that within you. So in the meantime, however, you can check that out. But in the meantime, what I want to offer you today is a free resource that can give you kind of an idea of what we do. But this resource more focuses on using scripture to bring that change within yourself and to change how you view yourself. and to engage the different elements, become more aware of how the beliefs that you have and what it is that you tell yourself about who you are and what you tell yourself about other people's ability to love you and to value you. So I hope you will check that out. You'll find that below. If you found some help here from this teaching today, please click like and join me again for my next teaching.